Good morning. Happy Monday. Hope y'all are off to a great start this Monday. I cannot believe that we are in week 6. This is just insane how fast it has gone by.
Hey, she's on the line. Let me go. Let me see. Bye.
Everybody. Okay. Let me make sure I'm recording, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, y'all. One thing that I would like to ask you to do is, as I chat through, I want you to write in what you love about the Faster Way to Fat Loss. What is that one thing for you that is just so amazing? Obviously, the majority of you signed up to lose fat, to lose weight, but just drop a comment in, and I want to read through some of those. I'm thinking about this week, probably tomorrow, I'm going to do a live video on my Facebook. It's been a while, I feel like, since I've done a live video on my Facebook. And what I'm going to do that about, I've had a lot of messages lately just about, the foods that we consume in the Faster Way to Fat Loss. And so that's one thing. And then the other thing is the price of the Faster Way to Fat Loss. And, I just kind of want to address the importance. What I'm so passionate about is, of course, I want all of the things, like for women to be able to lose fat. Obviously, that's why most people sign up. But as a byproduct, I want them to understand, that you gain so much more than you actually lose, the knowledge that you gain. And what I'm so passionate about is people understanding that, when you fuel your body with the right foods, with whole foods and real foods, the majority of the time, wellness comes about. We're able to prevent those chronic diseases. And a lot of people, especially in our area, in a very rural area where we don't have a naturopathic doctor or functional medicine doctors as readily or as accessible, I feel like the Faster Way to Fat Loss is an avenue for people understanding that food truly is medicine. It's not like medicine, it is medicine. And people don't understand that a lot of those foods that are processed, they are, just laden with chemicals. And when we're consuming that on the daily, all the time, we're asking for disease. We're setting ourselves up for feeling like crap. And so being able to educate people in that capacity is really my passion. I'm going to do a live video, like I said, probably tomorrow, on those things that, women sign up to lose fat, to lose weight, but there are so many other pain points that are resolved that they don't even know they're about to gain, So it's not just a fat loss program, it's a comprehensive approach to wellness. And so, I see so many, or have so many messages about people, or, some of my affiliates will say, well, they don't want to sign up because of the price, or, some of my coaches will say that. And we have to educate them on that. And so, I want people to understand what we are and what we do. And so tomorrow, like I said, I'm going to do a video on that. Please share that video. I don't know exactly, probably sometime in the morning. I want to really write out a script and have a powerful message, or a clear message in communicating what it is that we actually do and what we're about. And it is so worth every stinking penny. You'll see people zipping through that drive-through every day, dropping money every day in that drive-through on processed foods, or going to get their $5 coffee every single day. And then they'll fuss about, or complain and say $199 is a lot of money. And I'm not saying it's cheap, but when you break it down and it's only like $4 and something a day, people just have to understand what all they're gaining. And so I really want to try to communicate that effectively in a live video, because there's just so much power in what we do here in this program. So again, I cannot believe that we are ending this is the final stretch. It's crazy how fast it has gone by. I always get sad at the end because it's like when I talk, you know, you get to the end of the year and you've invested all this time in this particular group of children, or even like your own children, you know, if you've raised children and they've gotten to that point where they've moved out of your house, and it's a little sad because you've invested all this time and you don't want them to leave, but part of you does, you know, that they need to soar and move on, and so it's the same way with you all. I feel like I've invested so much time, and most of you in here, I do have a few of you who are eligible for VIP, but most of you are coming back to an additional round, so I still get to have you. And then some of you are going to try to live this lifestyle on your own, but you know, I love to see where you go and how you grow and continue to change in your health and wellness journey. So I want to chat with you, first of all, about an additional round and why I encourage you to do an additional round. So when I did the program, you did one round and you could move to VIP. And it's probably because of clients like me that she does 2 rounds now before you can move to VIP. I did not even know that you could scan food in MyFitnessPal, like with the barcode, until VIP. Yeah. I don't know how I missed that, but I did. So I manually typed in every single thing. That was probably another reason I cried that first week, because it was ridiculous. And I don't know, again, how I missed that, but I did. Maybe that's a new feature. I don't know. But there's no way that you can truly learn everything that we do in the Faster Way to Fat Loss in one round. Yes, you learn the strategies. You learn how to track. You learn how to do macros. You learn how to the food cycle. But you don't understand the why behind all the things that we're doing. And so I believe personally, once you learn the whys, that's when you're able to cement it as a lifestyle. Or that's how I work anyways. You know, when I know why, when I can fully understand why I'm doing it, and how it's working in my body, then I'm better able to actually do it versus just somebody telling me to do it, you know. I want you to understand it. And I believe that when you do, that's when you make those lifelong changes, and that you continue growing because you love it, you understand it, and you want to continue growing. I don't want you to just settle for Crystal said so. And I had results. So, you know, I'm just going to keep doing this. I mean, I can't make you passionate about learning all the whys and, you know, really diving deeper into that, but I sure want you to. I personally am still learning. And again, at this point, I feel like I'm learning even things far beyond the realm of the Faster Way to Fat Loss. Now, Emily Field, Allie Dameron, and Vivian Gill, they are our mentors and our specialists in the VIP group, and they do trainings with us every month, and most definitely I learn from them. They are very smart. But I definitely take it beyond that, because I'm reading a book every week on something nutritional, food related, and so, you know, I want you to get to that place where you're learning this. And again, I know we're not all passionate about that. I know you're not doing this as your job. But I love having you, I guess, kind of under my wing a little bit so that I can pour some of that out on you and for you to absorb and apply it to your life. There is no finish line in this journey. And that's how I truly feel about it. I think even once you've lost all the weight that you want to lose or all the fat that you want to lose, you're still going to want to focus on, you know, I want you to focus on, at that point, how do I prevent disease via nutrition? And which is the premise of this program with Whole Foods. That's why we choose Whole Foods Nutrition. But seeking to fully understand that, seeking to understand why the scale is a liar. It is not an indicator of your progress. In fact, it will stall your progress because it will get in your mind. And it will play games with your mind. When we went to Cabo, I don't know if y'all heard me share this story. I think I did this on a live video when we got back, but I do not own a scale. I've never owned a scale. And the only times I've weighed are times when I've gone to like a doctor's office or whatever, when I was pregnant. And I don't remember having a scale growing up. Maybe we did. I just don't remember it. But when we went to Cabo, in our room and in the gym, they had a scale. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get on that thing. And I did. And legit, Taylor was standing right beside me. And so I get on this, I was like, I'm going to weigh. I want to see how much I weigh. So I get on the scale. And it said like 119 pounds. And you may be like, oh my gosh. Okay. The most I ever remember weighing was other than when I was pregnant, was when I was a sophomore in college, and it was 117 pounds. And when I saw that number on the scale, it got me. It got me for a minute. And even Taylor, I was like, oh my gosh, Taylor, I weigh 119 pounds. I've never weighed this much. And he was like, don't even want to hear it. You preach this message all the time. And I do. For the first time in my life, I felt that grasp that so many of you have, that get up and weigh every single morning, and that number kind of defines you and plays that game in your head. I felt it for the first time. It got me. And, I just had to go back to, and even Taylor had to tell me, he was like, look at your legs. You've got the most muscle you've ever had. Look at your waist. Think about how you're close to, and I'm like, these are all the things I'm always saying, and he's saying them to me, now coaching me out of this place mentally, because that's all it was. I feel amazing. I feel super confident in the way I look, the way my clothes fit, the way I sleep. Everything about me is so much better than it's ever been. That scale is not an indicator of my success. Now, I don't know what exactly I weighed prior to the Faster Way to Fat Loss. Even then was just I did probably like a guesstimate, like 117 pounds is what I had put in my FitnessPal, I believe. But anyways, I want you to understand why the scale is not a determining factor of your progress. Another reason that round 2 is so beneficial is because you're going to change your macros at some point. Most people, it's not a question of if you're going to change your macros, it's of when you're going to change them. Most people will change their macros in round 2 or through round 2 at some point towards the end. Some people, and we'll chat about that in just a second. But round 2 is highly beneficial. And so just a few reminders, that next round begins April 1. So what happens is you'll have 1 week off. I'll still have your group running. Like, I won't archive that group just yet. So if you still wanted to post in there, ask questions, I won't be posting in that group, but you are free to do that. And then we'll start a new group on April 1. You'll be a returning client. You'll have a new workout portal with new workouts and with new content where we dive in deeper. You'll have some podcasts and articles and videos. Things will be different as far as that goes. You do get the returning client discount, so it's $40 cheaper to do an additional round. $60 cheaper to do an additional round. It's $140, not $199. So now, I think there's probably like 7 of you who are eligible for VIP, so I will address this really quick. If you've not completed 2 rounds, I'm not, just ignore me right now if you want to. But if you've completed 2 rounds, I typically split you up because I only had like 7 or 10 of you that were returning this time. I just put you in with the new clients as well. If you are a returning client, you've done 2 rounds of the Faster Way to Fat Loss, you are eligible for VIP. This is a monthly fee. And again, you get a totally different workout portal. Your food cycle is the same. You still get your nutritional education, but you get those monthly mentors, Emily Fields, Allie Dameron, and Vivian Gill, who will do live trainings in the groups. And there's a monthly theme typically, like how to reverse aging from the inside out. We have naturopathic doctors who come in and speak as well. So if you are interested in VIP, let me know. Email me, and I will send you the link and all the information. I have not planned to post it because I didn't want to confuse new clients with that. So if you're interested in VIP, if you will email me, I'll get you the link with the discount, the $20 discount code. All right, back to our macros. It is not a question of if you're going to change them. It's a matter of when you're going to change them. There's going to come a point where you hit a plateau. Here's the difference. When you hit a plateau in the Faster Way to Fat Loss, we know what to do, okay? Now, we do have to experiment just a little bit to figure out the what's next and how to make it work. When you do your first round, it's pretty standard. We're all setting our macros at the same splits, and then in round 2, or either when you move to VIP, some people go through round 2 and don't have to change their macros, and don't change them until they get to VIP. When you do change them that second time, we do have to experiment a little bit and kind of play with what's going to work. It's not going to be as concrete as the first time. So again, at some point you will plateau. Either you're going to get to a plateau where you're not losing anymore and you still want to, or you may be like me. I really didn't have much to lose. So I just moved myself to maintain. And I've been there for a while. So anyways, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to notice a change in yourself. It takes about 12 weeks for other people to notice. And some of you have already noticed major changes. So, but in general, it takes about 12 weeks for other people to notice. Here's the questions, that I want you to ask yourself as you are wrapping up this week 6. You're going to be doing your final measurements this week. And I want you to compare, of course, your first measurements that you took to the measurements that you take this week. I want you to compare your first photos to your photos that you take this week. Let's see if there's a difference, okay? I don't really want anyone to change your macros right now. I think you need to be in round 2. Now, I'm going to share with you how if you're not going into an additional round, but let me give you a tip. If you are ending this round and you're not moving into round 2, do not change your macros. I want you to measure this week. In 2 weeks, remeasure. If you're not seeing changes, then we can consider changing macros, okay? And if you're in a round with me, we're going to be talking about that anyways. So you don't even have to worry about that. Before you consider making any changes, though, you need to ask yourself these questions. Am I feeling hungrier and not decreasing in inches, okay? So, like, first question is always this. Am I meeting my macros where they are consistently? Like, we're not going to be perfect, okay? You might be a few grams under here and you're like 70 grams under on carbs every single regular macro day. That's not hitting your macros consistently. You're 20 grams under on protein, 3 out of the 7 days of the week. That's not really hitting your goals consistently. So are you meeting your macros where they are consistently? Because if not, that's your answer to continue seeing the results. You need to ask yourself if you're consuming quality foods. What are the quality of the foods that you're eating? Are you consuming whole foods the majority of the time? Ask yourself, am I hungry during my fasting window? Either before I break my fast or after. Am I still hungry? Because that's a telltale sign that you need more. If you're meeting your macros where they are, and if you're consuming those whole foods, you're still hungry, that's a telltale sign that we probably need to bump you up in macros. I do want you to keep in mind that, that first round, we are the Faster Way to Fat Loss for a reason. You probably saw some results pretty fast. Round 2 and moving forward, it will slow down a little bit. Those results will slow down. That's normal. You can't lose weight quickly all the time or fat quickly all the time. So when we begin to adjust those macros, it gets a little frustrating because it becomes more of a trial and error now. It's not going to be like an instant gratification. We're going to have to play with it and see and try it out for 2 weeks and see if this strategy is working, or if this strategy is working. it will work. It's us figuring out what is going to work. So, you know, we're going to think through some things. I'm going to ask you some questions really quick to begin thinking through the process of changing macros, because that's really a lot of what we'll focus on in round 2. So the first question is, have my measurements changed? And so you're about to do your measurements this final week. You don't have to do them today. Some people like to wait until Sunday. That's our last 24-hour fast. Some people like to go ahead. Whenever you want to do it in this final stretch is totally fine. Some of you have done it every single week. That's fine too. You can tally up your total inches. So have my measurements changed? Are my clothes fitting differently? How many of you would say you've already seen a change in the way your clothes are fitting? You can raise your hand. You can get, I think there's a raise your hand feature on there somewhere. But how many of you would say that you've already seen your clothes changing in the way that they fit? I think many of you have, just based on what we've seen on the Facebook group pages. And again, many of you have measured me inches that you've already lost. Amy, good, awesome. Yep, Jennifer, good. I don't know how you did that hand feature, but I remember doing it a while back when I was in Amanda's groups. So that is a great indicator of we're moving the needle forward. Now, if you go 10 days to 2 weeks and you've not noticed anything, then we consider adjusting. So like, for example, you're gonna measure this week. In 2 weeks, I would remeasure again, whether you've changed macros, not changed, just to kind of get an idea of, am I still losing inches? Am I feeling satiated? And then after those 2 weeks, then we reconsider some things, okay? And the point of that is, like, we can't be changing macros all the time. Like, we can't change macros today and tomorrow I'm gonna do it this way, and then a week later I'm gonna do it this way. That will not work. We cannot constantly change your macros up like that. In fact, when you move to VIP, Emily Field, she'll have a whole different philosophy. It won't be 10 days and 2 weeks. She'll actually do, I can't remember. It's more like 4 months. Like, she's more, she doesn't like you moving them around all the time, especially by the time you get to VIP. She wants you to be more solidified with what you're doing. So, anyways, the next question I want to ask you, though, is about your sleep. And I know this is a tough question because we are moms, we are ladies, we are busy, and most of us will stay up, burn the midnight oil, and get things done, you know, after our kids go to bed, or some of us just have terrible sleep habits, you know. If you are not getting good quality, consistent quality sleep, you will not stay lean. When your cortisol is constantly or chronically elevated, you are not going to be able to shed those last pounds or change that midsection. And listen, I am notorious for this. I will stay up. Y'all know. I tried to get better about putting a routine in place, but I'll still have my times where, you know, I'll stay up late. And so if you're getting only like 4 hours of quality sleep a night, that is not adequate. So ask yourself, are you sleeping well? If you are not, and you're hanging on to some, fat, then this could be the issue. Y'all, it really is important to get a good night's rest. You may want to consider doing some things like at night. Allie Dameron actually recommended this to me when I first started doing the Faster Way to Fat Loss rounds. I'm not kidding. I would stay up till midnight and 1 a.m. and wait for people's macros, okay? Like, I thought I had to respond immediately. It was ridiculous, but that is the type A person that I can be about certain things in my life. And I told her, I was like, you know, I had a consult with her, and because I felt like my hormones, my cortisol, everything was whack, and it was. I was just so stimulated all the time. And so I told her, I said, you know, I don't feel like I end my day with closure. Like, I end my day and I'm like, constantly on my mind, I'm thinking, these are all of the things I didn't get done, instead of seeing what I actually did get done. And that hangs on me. It just wears me down. And I have a hard time resting with knowing that I have unfinished business, you know? And so she encouraged me to make a list. Like, she actually said a gratitude list, but what I started doing in that particular season, especially when I felt so overwhelmed, was I made a list of what I did accomplish that day. And I've asked you all to do this too, you know, so I could see, gosh, dog, I actually did get a lot done today, you know? And I went from like career to family to home, like, and listed all, even if it was just I read my children a book today. You know, I gave everything that I had to my clients, and I'm going to end this day knowing that I did the best I could do. So, you know, I washed the dishes, I did the laundry, I painted my toenails. I mean, you know, things like that, and making a list of what I accomplished, make a list of gratitude, get it off your brain dump, get it off your brain. Okay. Get a bath, relax, get in the bed. No, she told me no social media after 10 p.m. Like, that light is stimulating. No TV, no anything that would stimulate me. And so, like, even reading a book for me, I cannot read a book at night because I'm easily excitable, and I read things and like I want to go take on the world. And I don't read fiction very much. So it's like real, like personal growth, spiritual type stuff that I read. So you've got to find your things, you know, like what relaxes you, because reading a book for most people would be relaxing. For me, it gets me like excited. So I have to do that in the mornings. Find a way to get your quality sleep. Find the things that will relax you, diffuse some oils, you know, make your bedroom like a spa, you know, get your tail in the bed. All right. Just like we do for our children, we get them on a routine, get yourself in a routine. And I'm preaching to me, because I go through, you know, seasons when I do really well and then I stink it up. The next question is, are you feeling, and this is going to sound silly, but are you chronically stressed? Because if you are, you're going to have a hard time burning fat off that midsection. And I know you're thinking, who isn't stressed? And you're right. We all have stressors, even if they are good ones. So, like, for example, I love what I do. Like, I'm so passionate about what I do. But even good stress, your body doesn't know a difference. And so how are we going to manage that stress that we're facing every day, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's, you know, maybe it is a bad situation and we're flipping it to a positive, but also like getting yourself in some quiet time where, you know, you're letting go of those, going for a walk. I don't know, whatever that looks like for you. You've got to deal with the root cause of that stress and release yourself from it as much as possible. Some of you may be feeling stress from overtraining. It is unbelievable the amount of people, clients who sign up for this, who are doing the Faster Way to Fat Loss workouts. They're training for a marathon. They're doing CrossFit. And all of these things, you're overtraining and you're putting your body under a lot of stress, and you're doing more harm than good. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, because our society says you need to work harder to see results. You need to eat less and less to see results. And that is not true. And that is not the Faster Way to Fat Loss philosophy. You need to consider pulling back if you are overtraining. You're doing all of these things. Pull back on some of those things, okay? You're going to have a hard time burning fat if you are overtraining. You're going to break your thyroid, okay? So another question is, as you're about to do your measurements, I want you to consider, are you about to approach your period or other hormonal issues? So are you about to start? That's always a cause of bloating. Some of you may, and I'm actually about to have some done this week, but some of you may need to consider having some comprehensive hormonal blood work done. There is always a reason. If you're hanging on to fat, you're in a program that is highly hopeful, highly beneficial. There's not many people that I've had that I can even think of that this has not worked for. Now, have there been some that we had to get to the root cause of what was going on in their body? Yes. And most of it goes back to hormonal related things going on. So you may consider having some comprehensive hormonal blood work done. The best case scenario would be for you to not see a regular doctor, but to see a naturopathic doctor, an alternative medicine doctor, just because they're going to treat the whole body. And most doctors are just going to look at those numbers and they're just going to treat for that. They're going to put you on a medicine and da-da-da. And we want to do a comprehensive approach to wellness. And, I think a comprehensive hormonal blood work panel would be great. Some of us are, dominant in one area, estrogen dominant or whatever the case may be. And so we just need to get you balanced out so that you begin burning that fat again. Some of you may have adrenal fatigue or some thyroid issues. So definitely consider that if you don't feel like you're moving the needle forward as fast as you would like, or if we're women, a lot of times we can kind of feel and know that some things are going on. I have learned my body so well since being in the Faster Way to Fat Loss. I can tell you, and this is just me talking out loud, but I can tell you when I'm about to start, not because I cramp. I don't have any of that. I get really lethargic and puffy, like my face and my eyes get puffy when I'm about to start. And so just like little things like that I never noticed before that I notice now. So anyways, you know your body better than anyone. You consider those things. But if you ever have questions, please ask me. I'll guide you the best I can. I'm not a doctor, but hopefully I can guide you to the right people. The next thing is, am I properly hydrated? All right, are you drinking enough water? I know it sounds so easy, but this is something that clients often underestimate the power of. Are you getting enough water? And consider some electrolyte water. Another thing is, how have you been indulging in sugar, salt, and alcohol? If you've been taking your treat days a little more seriously than you've been taking your low carb days, you may need to really dial that in, Some of us are sensitive to certain carbs. I'll give you the perfect example of this. I had a lady in my last round who, when she started, like in her first 2 weeks, she had lost like 4 inches in her midsection around her belly button. Then she started eating rice because she was having a hard time getting her carbs up. And she started eating rice, had never eaten rice before, wasn't really, super crazy about it. But to get her carbs up, she started eating that. Well, she noticed in like the next week or two, it may not have even been that long, she had gained 4 inches back. And I was like, okay, that's weird. Like, what are you doing different? So she told me that. I was like, I want you to take that rice out and let's see what happens. I wonder if you're sensitive. And she was, and she lost it. You may be sensitive to certain carbs. What works for you may not work for me. I may be able to eat oatmeal. You may not be able to. You may be sensitive to those things. So you kind of just have to do like a trial and error. Notice if there are certain foods that you're consuming on a high carb day that make you feel more bloated, because again, we're all different. You may be sensitive to things that I am not. Some of us do need to consider going grain free. Some of us are very sensitive to grains. Another thing is that, many of you went gluten and dairy the first couple of weeks, and that should have eliminated some bloating. And then maybe along the way, you've slowly added it back and you've seen that bloat again, or maybe you're just now getting it out and you're finally seeing those results. So, there's a lot of questions to ask yourself before we change our macros. If you have answered all of those questions, though, and you're like, nope, I'm doing that, check. I've done good with that, check. I've done good with that, check. Then at this point, you need to consider adjusting your macros up, okay? Hear me, we're not going down. And a lot of people think that we're going to go down. We're not. It's counterintuitive. We're going to eat more in the Faster Way to Fat Loss, not less. So you consider adjust, and you may not be ready for that. If you've not done your measurements yet, in fact, there's really not anyone I would advise changing their macros this week until we know for sure, are you still making progress, okay? But you're going to ask yourself these things, or you're going to do this. You are going to go to your goals in MyFitnessPal. If you look at the bottom of your screen on MyFitnessPal, I'm going to tell you how to adjust your macros up, just so you know. You're going to go to MyFitnessPal, and you see the dot, dot, dot at the bottom right-hand corner. You're going to click that. Then you're going to click goals. Then you're going to go down where you see calorie. Let me show you my screen. You see calories, carbs, protein, and fat goals. You're going to tap that. Right there, you're going to see your total calorie intake, okay? Let's say if you're consuming 1,200 calories, you would take 1,200 and multiply by 0.05. We're going to up your macros 5%, okay? So you take 1,200 times 0.05, whatever that number is that you get, you're going to add that to 1,200, and you're going to change it right there. You can manually change it in MyFitnessPal, okay? So like, let's say it's 1,294. I don't know. It's not going to bump you up a whole lot. So I have a lot of women who get super nervous about eating more, and I get that. You're convinced that you'll gain. Again, it's so counterintuitive. So you're going to go up 5%. That's the general rule of thumb that we do first. From there, you may say, you know, there's really two options. You're going to bump up 5%, or you may say, you know what, like, I really feel better on a low carb day. Now, that doesn't mean we're doing on low carb days, but what that may mean is that for you, instead of upping 5%, what we may need to do is take your carbs that are at 50% and move it to 45%. And you can do that right here as well. You can adjust it to 45% manually. And then you can do your protein, you would bump that up 5%. So you'll go down 5% in carbs, up 5% in protein, leave your fat the same. If you think that you're carb sensitive, that may be a change that you consider making and continue to see the fat melt off your body. This is why I strongly encourage you to be at around 2, because it does get a little bit experimental once we start changing those macros. And if you go off on your own, and I'm not saying that you can't, but I have this happen all the time. I have women who go off on their own, they do all these changes, and then they come back to me and I'm like, gosh, I really don't even know where to start, you know, because they don't even know what they did with the changes. A lot of them don't, because they changed it so much, you know. Here's one thing I do want to tell you. Do not change the weight in MyFitnessPal. Let's say you've lost 20 pounds. I don't care. Don't change the weight in MyFitnessPal. That will really mess us up, all right? You always keep the weight the same, and we will make adjustments. That's just a general guideline, what MyFitnessPal, once you put that initial weight in. So don't change that weight in there. All right. So a couple of things. In this week, you'll be reporting your measurements. You'll be posting your before and afters. Make sure you send your photos to me. Please let me know if I'm allowed to use them. Y'all, that speaks. I would never pressure you to do that. Now, I'm not scared to ask either. I will say, oh my gosh, this is so good. Do you mind if I use it? And if you tell me no, that's fine. I totally get that. But I would never use it without your permission, first of all. So please know that. But your before and after photos will speak volumes to you, to me as your coach. And I love seeing them. I love reading your testimonies. Like, they light me up. Please don't leave me hanging. But not only that, they are proof to other people, onlookers, that this program truly, truly works. Your pictures and your words are powerful. I can talk all day long, but they want to see it. They want to see that this program works. And y'all, people need this program. I want to remind you not to hop on the scale. It is not important. You know, a lot of clients will get disappointed. They've only lost 5 pounds. I don't care. I don't care what the scale says. Don't get on the scale. and then you measure and your measurements are insane, or your clothes or your after pictures. That's what matters to me. This is just the beginning of your journey, just the beginning. This program provides hope to the hopeless, and I mean in fat loss and in overall well-being. Women who have felt like crap for years are finally like the fog is gone and they are thriving, and that is everything. Food is absolutely powerful. Carb cycling is powerful. Macros are powerful. You are doing amazing things for your body, even if you're not getting it all right every single day. This is a journey, friends, and there is no final destination in mind. We want to keep growing, learning, and changing.